Well, this is turning out to be quite the day. Republican Darryl Glenn's Senate campaign might be dead in the water, or perhaps it's just resting. You'll hear a lot about early voting returns, whether Democrats or Republicans are ahead. We found a guy who actually studies whether that matters in the end. The undecideds aren't just a political species, it's all us Homo sapiens. Ever watch someone paralyzed by a lunch menu? Perhaps all the politics has you feeling trapped, like a bear in a car in the mountains, putting the car in neutral, going for a ride. Maybe it makes you want to scream, like the guy in a house on the plains who calls to complain about airport noise 10 times a day. Maybe you just want to give up, see if someone else wants to give it a shot. And perhaps that's how a school ended up for sale on Craigslist. It's all true, and it's next. Ballots are being returned starting this week, so soon we'll hear early voting totals. How many Republicans have voted early, how many Democrats? It gives us local news types something to talk about a few nights a week. But do not be fooled. These early voting returns tend to follow a typical pattern. The United States Election Project studies those trends. Michael McDonald, the professor, not the singer, explains.
2014 as a guide, if that midterm is a guide, we should see the Republicans jump out to a lead, and then maybe in that last week or so, we should see the Democrats make up a lot of ground.
Michael McDonald's research has been taking it to the streets for years. Lost in the parade of the minute by minute is how the parties are performing compared to prior elections. Despite what a fool believes, McDonald says this is it. That's how you analyze early returns. Perhaps I'm on my own, but I gotta try. The numbers show sweet freedom for Hillary Clinton in the Southeast, better early returns than President Obama. No looking back for Donald Trump in the Midwest, where he's outperforming Mitt Romney's early returns. Okay, I can let go now. Republican Senate candidate Darryl Glenn is that poor guy in Monty Python that they're trying to toss onto the cart carrying the dead. You know, bring out your dead, dung, bring out your dead. His Senate campaign is down 15 to 20 points in the polls, and he has no campaign events scheduled for the last 3 weeks of the race. But like the man in Monty Python who insists, I'm not dead yet, Glenn refuses to be tossed on the heap prematurely. His campaign said today they will keep plugging along, not laying off staff, and planning to in fact schedule events down the home stretch of the campaign. We are one day away from our debate in Colorado's closely contested 6th Congressional District, that ring of suburbs snuggling Denver to the northeast and south. Republican Representative Mike Coffman and Democrat Morgan Carroll have clear differences on policy and philosophy. Today we examine immigration. Here they are, first on policy.
To me, immigration is about having a comprehensive immigration reform now with a pathway to citizenship that is addressing arbitrary and artificial wait periods.
As long as they haven't violated criminal laws, to give them a legalized status that would allow them to work here without fear of deportation.
Not citizenship, but legal status.
Legal status.
Any path to citizenship for those people?
No, no.
Now, those policy differences are rooted in a serious philosophical difference on whether people who entered the U.S. illegally did anything wrong. People who have come here illegally, did they do something wrong?
Yeah, they did. We're a nation of laws, and they broke our immigration laws, and it's fundamentally wrong.
Did they do something wrong?
That's an interesting question. Was it wrong when people came over in the potato famine? Was it wrong when people came over during World War I or World War II? The reality is everybody assumes that their relatives were papered perfectly, but that's often not true.
Coffman and Carroll debate on our air tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on Channel 20. Politics guy Brendan Ritteman and I will moderate. Coffman and Carroll's full extended interviews from next are up on our YouTube page. You know, Democrats have tried and failed to take out Mike Coffman cycle after cycle. We gave our political experts 30 seconds on this question. If Mike Coffman survives this year with Donald Trump dragging down the Republican ticket, is it time to consider his a safe seat?
I think that if Mike Coffman wins this time, this is probably his district, at least through redistricting, which starts in 2020. I mean, he has been a consistent leader in that district, and he's against Morgan Carroll, who is a hardcore, far lefty trial lawyer. I think that for the left, this is kind of the fool's gold. They think that they're going to be able to win it, but the truth is they won't, and this is probably Mike Coffman's district. through the end of the next cycle.
It's funny to hear things like fool's gold coming from my friend Kelly over here when the NRCC and the Kaufman campaign have spent more money trying to win this election than they ever have in the past. The fact is, Senator Carroll's given Mike Kaufman the fight of his life, and he's been all over the place on every issue, from immigration to whether or not he supports the Gang of Eight to should there be English-only ballots, and he switches his position just because his district got redrawn. Quite frankly, the man has claimed to stand up to Donald Trump, but he stood up to nobody at all.
Next question comes from viewer Scott Haug. What if we don't vote for president? Will the rest of the ballot count?
People do have the right to what we call undervote, and so if they do not vote in a particular race, regardless of what that race is, the rest of their ballot still counts.
You keep the questions coming. We will keep that answer tap flowing. Email us next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext.
If there was ever a year where people don't know how they're going to fill out their ballots, it's this one. Or maybe you thought you made up your mind, then changed it again and again. Voting could likely be a game time decision for many. So this morning we stopped by a place where last minute decisions are a way of life.
How are you today? And you've decided what you like?
Decisions.
You know, I'm looking at the chicken and waffles. I've never had it before.
Everybody's got a trick to picking what they want. Some
I said,
just commit.
You had pancakes? She said, yep. She said, you know what you want? I said, yep.
Others
Everything looks good.
have to fool themselves.
I don't know, maybe I should go for something else.
But those are the simple choices.
The decisions that I'm fighting with right now, who's going to be president?
There are some real head scratchers out there.
This year, I don't know what I want. I have a feeling I'll probably be writing Donald Duck for president or something like that.
If you're one of the lucky ones, you've got this election figured out.
My mind is made up.
My political beliefs are pretty firm.
But this year, more than any,
For the presidential race.
a lot of people find themselves feeling like this.
Yeah, I actually got my ballot yesterday in the mail, and I looked at it, and I think I'm just going to show up at the polls and not even send it in because I have no idea.
A last-minute decision. We make them in life all the time.
At one point, I decided to buy a car for no reason.
I pierced my nose, and it was the worst.
Some
Getting divorced.
more regrettable than others.
I love my ex-wife. I love everything that we did together. I miss her.
So take it from the folks who know best.
I'm gonna go for the chicken and waffles.
Maybe it's best to really think about what you want
I should have got pancakes.
instead of just trying to convince yourself.
I bet I'll love it.
You still do have time. Election day is November 8th. Still have a little less than 3 weeks. For those of you who are already decided, you still have a little less than 3 weeks. Kyle.
A small town accounts for 3/4 of DIA's noise complaints. Actually, one guy in one town is 75% of the complaints. We went to see if he has a point. Someone put a Colorado school up for sale on Craigslist. A for effort, kids. And a bear channels Ron Burgundy trapped in the phone booth. I'm in a glass case of motion. That's when the car started rolling. Next most eligible bachelor is battling the man who is recently America's most eligible bachelor, Denver's Ben Higgins. Steve Steger and Ben Higgins are competing in Real Men Wear Pink this month, raising money for breast cancer research. Not saying that Steger isn't a good-looking guy, but he's kind of outmatched in this race. So Steve's decided to go negative.
I'm Steve Steger, and I approve this message.
What are people saying about Ben Higgins? Entertainment Tonight called Higgins kind of boring. And it said he needs to be more mature. Steve Steger may not be very mature, but he's only a little boring.
What kind of self-respecting single guy uses a TV show to find a woman? I mean, seriously.
Make the right choice this month. Put your breast cancer research dollars behind a real man who's only slightly boring. Steve Steger. Next week, Kyle Clark is responsible for the content of this advertising.
There are many of us in the newsroom who have thought of nominating Steve for the next Bachelor on that wonderful television show that a few of us enjoy. I love that. Hey, did it feel like fall in Denver today or what? Yeah, beautiful fall day. Temperatures cooler, the winds are letting up, and temperatures have been trending a little bit cooler than average. It's going to get really cold tonight. Clear skies, light winds, a freeze warning posted for Denver, the Front Range and northeastern plains, calling for a forecast low of 30 in the city. So it is time to protect plants and tender vegetation, get the sprinklers blown out, or at least get on the list to do that. Up in the high country, they're making snow fast and furious, and Mother Nature helping out some resorts like Steamboat. 6 inches of snow last night from a system that is tracking to the south and east away from us now, producing severe weather. That threat increasing outside of Wichita, St. Louis, and Chicago, where airport and travel delays are likely overnight tonight and tomorrow. We have a sunny day coming up tomorrow, and after a very cold start, a beautiful afternoon is expected. We'll say goodbye to the snow. We need the moisture, but the next chance for rain and snow won't be until early next week. So tonight, freeze warning for Denver, are low at 30, and that means when the sun comes up at 7:15, well, you'll need a light jacket when you step out. And hey, by the afternoon, mid-60s, that's not bad, but we move into the 70s Friday, stay there for the weekend, come close to 80 both Saturday and Sunday, and when our Broncos take the field Monday night, how about this for a kickoff forecast? 65 degrees, dry air. We do not want weather to be excused. No, not this week.
If you think your kids or spouse gets hangry, be happy they're not bears. They'd be breaking into cars in the high country looking for food right about now. Our man in the mountains, Matt Renew, has the story of one particular bear with real drive.
At the Grand County Sheriff's Department, it's that time of year.
A lot of trash cans are dumped over.
When the snow falls, then melts, and Sheriff Schroetlin is dealing with a lot of bears.
Fall sets on us. There's a lot of bears in our area.
But even in a busy bear season,
our deputies usually see bears on a fairly nightly basis.
The bear call he just got
early Saturday morning
is one that this sheriff barely believed.
This is the first in my career.
When a 200-pound black bear not only got into Danny Archer's car,
and obviously opened the door,
but then used his own bare hands to put the car in neutral and roll about 80 feet down the street.
It rolled back across the street into a spruce tree.
With a lot of door handles, it's pretty easy for a bear to get into a car. But if that door shuts, that bear's not getting out, and he's gonna do a lot of damage.
Really?
Once a bear's stuck in the car, there's a panic mode, and that's where they will destroy the inside of a car.
Which is what happened to Danny.
Just by gravity here, I'm sure my door shut.
He says there wasn't any food in the car, but that bear still got in, and his bare minimum insurance won't cover his chewed up seats.
Chewed it up pretty good.
Or the chewed up gear shift that sent his car rolling.
Into the spruce tree there.
That bear was eventually let out, but Parks and Wildlife officers say it's why everyone should lock their doors, even in small mountain towns.
Keep your vehicle doors locked.
Something Sheriff Schroetlin agrees with.
The inside of the car is pretty much destroyed.
Saying even when winter arrives and bear calls drop,
our bears should be hibernating for the winter.
Keeping your doors locked is the best way to keep bears and those more grisly criminals from getting to your stuff. Near Grand Lake for next.
Keep your doors and windows locked.
Matt Renew.
We are going old school with your feedback tonight. Snail mail next gets a ton. This is Monday and Tuesday's worth. This one says on the envelope, attention Kyle Clark, 9 News, election crap. We're gonna open this one first.
One school, good condition, home to a couple of crafty kids.
It's a sign. It doesn't tell you very much. It says, "You are here," with absolutely no other reference point. Jeremy Petty was there, wherever there is, and he was kind enough to send us photo proof. The sign is on the flat tops north of Glenwood Springs. Send us a sign that's had you scratching your head. Email next@9news.com or use one of those pound sign things followed by "Hey Next." Strasburg High School is for sale. $500 and it's yours. The Craigslist ad says, due to unfortunate budget cuts, Strasburg High School will be forced to close down later this year. Supposedly, this is Principal Jeff Rasp writing. The superintendent, school board, and I have all agreed that the best course of action would be to find a buyer interested in buying the building in the name of the school. And then it gives Principal Rasp's phone number. So you know we gave it a call.
and it looks like it was posted a couple of weeks ago. I'm assuming by a student, but I don't know that for sure. I think it's kind of clever, actually. So I'm not necessarily upset about it, just like to kind of track down and see where it came from. They did their research well. I'm a little disappointed that it's only $500. I would think maybe my office is worth $500, but I would think the school is probably worth a little more money than that.
He sounds like he's having fun with it, but you know he's stalking the halls of the school looking for those kids. Principal Rasp says nothing to worry about, no budget cuts, no issues with money. Strasburg High is not for sale. Boy, little Strasburg is making all kinds of news on Next tonight. Last night we told you about the one guy from Strasburg who was responsible for more than half of the noise complaints about DIA. He just calls again and again and again. Photojournalist Mike Grady drove out there today to see if that dude has a point.
It's a town where there is less commotion.
Nice little quiet country town.
Best town ever. Strasburg, Colorado.
One word?
Calming.
Sleepy?
Peaceful. 30 minutes east of Denver. You'd love it.
No, it's not noisy.
Sometimes they have cows in the pens. But that's about it.
I honestly say I don't see why there is a commotion about it.
I was kind of shocked. 4,500 complaints from one person. We don't get airplane noise here.
If you're within the town, you can hear it, but it depends on how well your tone of hearing is.
So we don't usually hear the planes. You'll see them, you don't always hear them.
I guess if you're looking for them, you can see them, yeah.
What noise is he hearing that we're not?
The planes really don't bother me. The only thing that bothers me is the trains.
No, I think DIE fired the wrong person. He's probably really pissed off. That's what I think.
And it's pretty much a place of quiet tranquility is the best way to say it.
We don't get airplane noise here.
Late today, our open records request returned the name and phone number of the frequent flyer on the complaint line. I gave him a call. Something says he'll call back, maybe a couple of times. If your art is special, maybe it'll go up in a gallery. If it's really something, maybe it'll go up in a space capsule. A UNC professor, Anna Urson, contributed to the Moon Arc. Her artwork will be put on a disc, then inserted in a tiny capsule. The capsule will go up on a lunar rover launched to the moon. The rover will then transmit all the artwork, thousands of HD images and videos, onto the moon, for all the aliens who are stopping by on their way to and from DIA.
To me, this is a perfect blend of putting knowledge, science, art, expression of different levels of communication into a bigger picture, into a project that links what humans do with research and exploration.
That rover should tentatively be launching on a SpaceX rocket in late 2017, which is when we hope to improve the quality of our Skype interviews. Anyone who thinks that people are meaner online has never read our paper mail. We will next. We are kicking it old school with your feedback tonight. This is the first snail mail edition of viewer feedback on Next. Mail sent with a stamp. How about that? Letter from Durango. Very nice. Kyle, your show is awesome. Don't let the naysayers get you down. Nice handwriting on that, too. You don't get that in an email. This note, I'm using old-fashioned snail mail because, truthfully, I would be deathly afraid of the horrible lashback if I spoke this out loud. Colorado's no longer known for skiing or mountains, just pot. Somebody didn't want to express that. All you two-faced politicians and newsmen ought to think twice before you jump Trump. Bunch of phonies. And then this one. What would Abraham Lincoln, author of the Emancipation Proclamation, think if he saw the attack ads on our media? Would he conclude that we have advanced this country? It's a very thoughtful letter. Whole thing's pretty good. See you next time.